So this will be our instruction course for today. These are all the instructors under the mentorship of Professor Jagatram. So I'll be discussing the basic steps of pediatric cataract surgery for a novice pediatric surgeon. So congenital cataract has a worldwide prevalence of 4.24 per 10,000 people, with the largest prevalence found in Asia. It is one of the most important causes of treatable causes of childhood blindness. So what is the timing of cataract surgery? To prevent stimulus deprivation amblyopia, dense, visually significant bilateral congenital cataracts, surgery should be done around 6 to 8 weeks of age. And unilateral visually significant cataracts should be operated around 4 to 6 weeks of age. Increased rates of postoperative glaucoma is seen in the first 4 weeks of life. Therefore, it is advised not to operate these children in the first 4 weeks of life. So biometry and intraocular lens power calculation will be discussed subsequently, but just to have an overview, axial length can be measured using an immersion or a contact A scan or B scan ultrasonography. While using contact A scan values, the value with the maximum anterior chamber depth should be chosen to offset the inadvertent indentation of the cornea with the A scan probe. And keratometry values can be obtained also using an autokeratometer. Readings should be preferably taken without using an eye speculum, thereby avoiding the compression of the globe. An optical biometry with IOL master or lens star can be carried out in older cooperative children. So intraocular lens power calculation in children, we should prefer a moderately hyperopic outcome to compensate for the myopic shift which is expected in children due to axial elongation of the globe. IOL can be implanted in eyes with an axial length of more than 17 mm and a corneal diameter of more than 10 mm. SRKT and Holiday 2 formula are the best give the best postoperative outcomes in pediatric eyes with axial length of less than 20 mm axial length. This is one of the study. In the infant aphakia treatment study in 2013 by Vanderveen et al., they have shown that SRKT and Holiday 1 have the least prediction error in infants. And in the study by Dahan et al., they have said that 20% undercorrection is proposed in children less than 2 years and 10% in children between 2 to 8 years of age. So now a recent study by Chang et al. In 2020 compared 8 formulae in less than 8 years old children. They found that SRKT was preferable in children less than 2 years of age or with axial length less than 21. And Barrett's and Hagees were preferred in children more than 2 years of age or axial length more than 21. This is one of the video which I'll be showing. This is a pediatric cataract surgery video in which we make the side ports and then we inject the trypan blue dye. This is a triplanar incision, main port incision. We start with the cystotome, the capsular rhexis, anterior capsular rhexis. Then we do the hydro procedures. Preferably cortical cleaving hydrodissection is preferred. Lens matter after being aspirated, we inject the bag with viscoelastic and insert the IOL. The IOL is dialed into position and the viscoelastic is aspirated. An air bubble is left at the end along with sutures. So to give more detail about these steps, a superior clear corneal triplanar incision of 2.8 to 2.8 mm is preferred in children. Why is a superior incision preferred? Why? Because the wound is protected by the upper eyelid from trauma. Scleral incisions 2 mm away from the limbus with conjunctival peritomy are rarely used these days unless operating for rigid PMML lenses. Smaller, tighter fitting incisions help in the better maintenance and stability of the anterior chamber. And we should always try to minimize the in and out times we take out the instrument out of the eye. 2 uniplanar 1 mm incisions approximately 180 degrees apart give a better maneuverability for the side ports. In order to address the small pupils less than 4 mm, pupils, they have higher complications and they can present with posterior synechiae as in uveitis, trauma, PFE, or pupillary fibrosis. They can be dilated preoperatively with tropicamide or cyclopentolate, or intraoperative adrenaline or phenocaine can be used. Why anterior capsulorhexis is difficult in children? Why? Because it is thinner and elastic. It is a convex shaped lens. The lens tears, the capsule tears easily and runs peripherally. The AC is shallow. It's a smaller eye. The IOP is lower and there is less rigid sclera, which is easily collapsible. And there is a poor red reflex due to opacities. So anterior capsulorhexis can be done in various ways. We can use a cystitome with a Utrata forceps to do a curvilinear capsulotomy, or we can use a vitrector to do a vitrectorhexis. So vitrectorhexis is quick and simple, but it is used in fibrotic capsules. We can use 2-incision push-pull technique as given by Dr. Ken. We can use femtosecond laser-assisted capsulotomy. We can use plasma blade capsulotomy or precision pulse capsulotomy using Zepto, which has a Nititol ring attached to a suction cup. So initially the capsule is stained with trypan blue dye, which is 0.06%. This makes the capsule rigid and stiff. Then the anterior capsulorhexis is done with all these techniques. Manual CCC is the best. It has more strength and a smaller than IOL optic diameter should be preferred. So, to prevent the AC shallowing and post-operative pupillary capture. So anterior capsulorhexis should be preferred as around to be 5 mm and posterior capsulorhexis as around 4 mm. Vitrectorhexis, as I've already told you, it's a quick, simple technique and preferred for fibrotic capsules. A cohesive ophthalmic viscosurgical device should be preferred, a high molecular weight one. This is used to flatten the anterior capsule, keep the anterior capsule taut, and counter the effects of low scleral rigidity and vitreous upthrust. So what are the tips for anterior capsulorhexis? We should always try to pull centrally, use a cohesive OVD, and take frequent bites of the anterior capsule. Hydro procedures, multi-quadrant hydrodissection, at least in 3 quadrants should be done using a cannula mounted on a 2 cc disposable syringe filled with BSS. Lens matter aspiration can be done using a coaxial or a bimanual irrigation and aspiration handpiece. We should start from the periphery and swipe the lens matter clean. The IOL implantation should be done after filling the anterior chamber with high viscosity viscoelastic. We should push the leading haptic underneath the anterior capsule and then push the trailing haptic into the bag using a Sinskey hook. A single piece hydrophobic acrylic IOL is preferred for the in the bag placement. It leads to less posterior capsular opacification and less pigmentary deposits on the IOL. 3-piece can be used in case of inadvertent posterior capsular ruptures. Monofocal IOL are preferred in children and multifocal in children more than 5 years with bilateral cataract. The lens material, silicone material lenses are usually not preferred because they lead to silicone oil deposits. They lead to calcification in patients with asteroid hyalosis, and they lead to opacification with air fluid exchange. Hydrophilic acrylic IOLs lead to late opacifications and calcifications. They absorb the dyes like fluorescein, trypan blue, and also deposit the triamcinolone on them. The hydrophobic acrylic are the least likely to opacify, and PMMA are not foldable, so they require larger incision, but they are stable in the sulcus. Peripheral iridectomy should be preferred in patients who have aphakia or who have uveitic cataracts or traumatic cataracts, and it should always be done with a vitrector, and the bleed can be controlled with intracameral adrenaline or air or viscoelastic tamponade. Primary posterior capsulotomy and anterior vitrectomy are very important. PCO is the most frequent complication, and there is considerable risk of visual axis obscuration and amblyopia in children. In fact, 100% with an intact capsule. So we should cut the posterior capsule in a cut irrigation aspiration mode and cut the vitreous along with it. This is done in patients less than 8 years of old or mentally retarded children and those having nystagmus. Posterior capsulorhexis should be a little smaller than the anterior capsulorhexis, and posterior optic capture can be done for preventing the posterior capsular opacification. So it is very important to suture all the wounds with 10-0 nylon or 10-0 Vicryl because of low scleral rigidity in children, increased elasticity, and more vitreous upthrust, especially in children less than 2 years of age. This helps in preventing anterior chamber collapse. For children more than 2 years of age, a sutureless technique can be done, but with proper wound hydration. This decreases the surgical time and avoids suture-related complications. There is decreased need for repeated anesthesia for suture removal and decreased incidence of endophthalmitis. Preservative-free moxifloxacin should be given intracamerally at the end of the surgery along with subconjunctival dexamethasone to decrease the intraoperative inflammation. Follow-up should be done. Post-operatively, topical corticosteroids should be given 6 to 8 times a day and topical antibiotics and topical cycloplegics for 2 weeks in uncomplicated cataract surgeries. Follow-up period should be done, in the follow-up period, glasses or contact lens should be given and patching should be done for amblyopia management. This is another video. This is also a case of pediatric cataract with a zonular component along with the persistent pupillary membrane. Side ports were made. Viscoelastic was injected after staining the capsule. The main port was made. Capsulotomy started with a cystotome and completed with a Eutrata. You can note the perfectly central capsulotomy in this case. Hydro procedures were done, at least in 3 quadrants. Then the bimanual irrigation aspiration was done. And IOL polishing was completed. Then a posterior capsulotomy was done using the same technique. Started with a cystotome and completed with a Eutrata forceps. Minimal anterior vitrectomy was done. The bag was inflated. And then a single piece acrylic foldable hydrophobic IOL was inserted in the bag and dialed into position. The viscoelastic was aspirated from behind the IOL and the IOL was centered perfectly. The wounds were hydrated and air bubble was injected.